Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is the School District of Upper Dublin Board of School Directors Facility Committee meeting. It is April 21st, 2016. It's 9 a.m. and we're in the Upper Dublin Township Building. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask, are there any announcements or communications?
Not this morning.
Okay. Are there any minutes?
The minutes from March 17th have been circulated and will be approved at the May 9th legislative meeting. If there are any corrections, please let Brooke Evans or myself know.
Okay, thank you. All right, there are several presentations and items for this morning's meeting. The first is the Keystone Engineering Water Treatment discussion. Jason?
Good morning. I'm sorry to say both Keystone nor NSG will be able to attend today for a presentation, but I can go over what the subjects and their status at this point.
Sure.
Keystone Engineering is in the process of putting drawing packages together. They expressed they'll be ready with specifications by the 13th of May. This is for a water treatment system both at Fort Washington as well as the high school. In the recent testing, they went over and checked the water pH levels of both buildings, and they were both below 7. The objective is to eliminate the caustic water, so they're going to try to bring it up, adding a base chemical to it to get it to 7.5. The more information will come forward with the specifications and drawings. We hope to have it out to bid and something to the board by June to move forward with an installation in July at both buildings. It's merely going to be a pump tied into a meter that's going to be attached to the water main as it enters the building, and that system will periodically add a base chemical agent that will coat the pipes as well as correct the pH level of the water.
Okay, and the water at the current time is still fine as far as drinkability and all of that. And also, after this system is installed, that will be the same thing. It will still be within the correct parameters.
But yes, the levels are fine. This will even lessen the levels. Right now, there's present levels of copper in both buildings. Nothing exceeds the limit at this current time, but we want to be sure that moving forward, given that the caustic water is how it's capable of affecting equipment operation, that this will eliminate that problem.
Okay. All right. So we'll look forward to that information. When do we expect to be getting that?
The drawing packages will be ready on the 13th of May.
Okay. All right.
So we have to, that's going out to bid then, or that's what
Yes.
they're going to do?
Yeah,
They're bidding it?
no, they're actually designing.
They're doing it.
They're designing the system, that the engineers designing the system, because both projects combined with both buildings will probably be close to over the threshold.
Okay.
That's we'll have to take it out to bid publicly. We'll advertise it. We'll probably advertise it a week prior, like we've done the other projects, and these drawings will be made available the following week.
Okay, and they'll bid on it, or
No, they're just an engineering
they're
firm.
just engineering?
Yep.
Okay, and again, I know the community is going to ask about what the chemical is, what's the effect of the chemical, but is this anything different than what some homes have, or?
Yeah, some homes in the area do have this current system in place. We're merely raising the pH level of the water from 6 or 7 in either building up to 7.5 to make it more of a base.
Okay, and then by doing this at the high school, the benefit will be what?
We have had issues with our kitchen equipment, our hot water boilers, the copper piping in them has deteriorated. We just replaced the housings in 2 of our domestic hot water boilers. And we frequently have issues with various water systems or piping systems, flushometers and so forth throughout the building because of the caustic water we receive from Ambler Water.
Why would this have not been identified at the construction stages at the high school?
I can't say. Legally, the water authorities are allowed to put out water with a pH level between 6.5 and 8.5. And the water we receive from numerous different wells, I think I talked about 2 months or 3 months ago, we receive water from 3 particular wells, and their pH levels vary. But they're always above 6.5. But with regards to the acidity of the water, you want to have at least a level around 7.2, 7.5.
Particularly regarding the sophisticated equipment we have in the
Yes,
buildings.
particularly because of the equipment we have.
Okay. Any other questions on this item? All right, let's move to the next one, discussion regarding Fort Washington window films.
Again, I'd hope to have NSG here. However, they could not attend because of a family issue. But I went into detail with them what exactly that they can provide. I'd hope that with the single pane windows at the building, we could somehow apply a film that would assist with the rating of the window itself with regards to keeping heat in and keeping the air out. Basically, they expressed to me there's about 6 different types of films that can be applied. None of them will actually stop the air from coming through the windows. What they merely will do is assist with eliminating the heat that comes through the windows. The proposal they gave to me is range from a value of $42,000 for all the windows up to like $85,000. But the payback itself is past 5 years. So with the model that he produced, he didn't quite recommend moving forward with that action. He did, though, what is included in the paperwork today is a cost of about a little over $7,000 for a film to apply to the courtyard windows that are in that classroom area. It would significantly hold out the sunlight, heat through the windows itself. You'd probably see, he expressed, between a 70 to close to 60% reduction in heat in those rooms, because I guess they receive a lot of heat off the macadam that's outside, reflective, as well as just the sunlight. What you'd basically have is a see-through silverish aluminum film that would be applied to the windows, and that would hold back the sunlight heat from penetrating through. So like I just expressed, he believes you should see about close to 70% reduction in heat if we were to go forward with that type of plan.
Okay.
But what was, I'm confused, what was the plan that would have cost 42 to 85,000?
That is actually put window films across the whole entire building. Every window in the building
Okay.
would have received that film. And based upon the scale of how much you want to do
Okay.
with regards to hold out sunlight, it
Okay.
really doesn't keep cold air out
Yeah.
or hold heat in. It merely keeps the heat from outside coming in. So it's really a true benefit only for the spring and fall.
So for the 8,000, we're doing just those two corridors, those 2 corridors?
If we so decide to, yes. It would just be those classrooms in that courtyard space that receives, like the library and the other
Some other-
rooms that are off that other side
And
of the
also the
courtyard.
corridors, right?
I did not price up the corridors. The expression, I could add that to it, but it was merely going for the classrooms at this time.
I would think the corridors are what creates a lot of heat throughout the hallway, but
I mean, I think,
you're on.
Really close, yeah.
okay. I mean, I think probably both. It's like, I know that the classrooms get quite hot, but then, the teachers pull the shades, most, if there are shades in the rooms, and the corridors don't have anything like
Right.
that. I mean, my thought is, okay, so it's 85,000 to do the whole school. I mean, this school's not going anywhere. We know that we need to do the windows at some point. Instead of investing money like this, maybe it's the short term, put the 7,000 and do those, but I would like to see a plan, I guess. So when are we going to do these windows at Fort Washington? Just because it'd be better, instead of even wasting any money on it, it's just to get the window started. If nothing else, if we have to do it in sections, it's, I don't want to put a Band-Aid on something that we're going to have to just replace anyway. So, I'm not really for you, Jason, but with that, but yeah, but I mean, I think as a committee, that's something that makes sense to discuss, I think.
Yeah, I agree. If the windows were in fantastic shape, if they were fairly new and we wanted to apply film to them, it would make all the sense in the world. It's a 5-year payback, but you get a lot of utility over the years. I don't know that we're going to have those windows in 5 years, so it doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to spend an enormous amount of money on a problem like this. If we're talking about the corridors that are oppressively hot on those days, and it's a modest amount of money just to tide us over until we do a project, I might consider that. But I agree, we really do need to invest some time into putting together a plan and a timetable to get the windows at Fort Washington done. it's unfinished business that we would have liked to have done a couple of years ago, ran out of money, and if things are starting to improve, it would be good to apply some resources to that project.
This is a great segue into actually discussing the funding streams from summer projects this year, and also it's a finance discussion as well as going to the board. At the Finance Committee tonight, we'll be talking about, we will wipe out the bond fund of 2012 this summer. We're buying buses out of the capital reserve, which is going to be, I think, around $600,000. And we also have we're buying 6 buses. So it's 5. I'll look at it before tonight. I'll look at the 2 POs. But anyway, that's a substantial amount of money. Then we have 2 projects that are coming up, and I'm stealing Jason's thunder, but we're opening those on May the 4th, and they're both projects we want to move forward with. They're going to need to be funded out of the capital reserve. So as a CFO, you probably are hearing me that we're going to need to transfer more one-time money so that we can look at these big projects. It's actually been, Mr. Shumalewski, I think about 4 years ago since we looked at the windows at Fort Washington, and it was $1.2 million then. The economy's improved, but there may be a different fix. I'm not saying, things do change and products come out. But I'll get off my soapbox now. But I think it's a great idea if we have a 5-year plan, but funding needs to be part of that as well.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
So just to reiterate, to put the film in just those classrooms where the heat is unbearable, to make it bearable at least, what would that run right now? And I know it's a stopgap, but I'm thinking of how soon could we do that before the next heat wave?
The proposal is for $7,794.
Okay, so for $7,000, I would advocate for doing at least those classrooms so that we get some relief while we move forward with a longer-term plan.
But how much
If-
more is the corridor of the 2 hallways?
I could not say. We'll have to look into it, but looking at it, the corridor is probably almost the same length as the one wing that we'll have to put films on.
Another
So
3,000.
probably another 3,000, closely to that.
So Sarah, do you recommend, knowing Fort Washington better, should we do the corridors too and those classrooms?
I mean, I think with the corridors, if you're,
Right.
when you walk through, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
all glass.
much heat.
And if you get the heat in there, that's just gonna be circulated
Right.
in the building. So I think it makes sense if we can, since those are the major areas, if we can do that, if we can do the film there, and then, I mean, I would hope that whatever with the windows is, we're seriously looking at this, so in the next year to 2 years, even if it's a graduated type project, is that if we can start, doing the window replacements. I'd say I hate putting money into anything and then it just ripping it out essentially, but,
We would probably do the windows in one shot. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah,
because of
yeah.
Because-
the
right.
efficiency
I
of
know,
it.
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, do we have, is it possible to do this next summer? I mean, obviously not this summer, but in the next, I'm just trying to think, I don't want to put any money in, and then next summer, we're able to put all the windows out. I mean, my guess is to raise 1.2 or 1.5 million, whatever it is, we're probably not going to be able to do it next summer, but if we can do it in 2 years,
Right, but for $10,000, I think it's a quick,
I think it's a quick fix, to-
If it's
right,
done,
that's what I mean, if we're not gonna do it in 6 months from now,
We're
if
not
we're gonna do it in 6 months from now, not to
6
do it,
months from
but
now.
if we're not gonna do it then yeah, I think that let's do the windows, let's do the film for these classrooms, and the corridors, and then, really get a plan down so we can start replacing these windows.
Yep.
Okay, so if you could, Jason, if we could increase the scope to take care of the corridor, and then bring that back to the board for whether it be further discussion or approval.
Okay, I can do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right?
If I could,
Yeah.
if it suits the pleasure of the committee, since we've talked about this here, if we get the price, would it be all right if we bring it right to the legislative meeting
Yeah.
in May and not bring it back to committee so we can move
Sure.
forward? Thank you.
Absolutely.
well, do you need approval if it's under 11, 10, whatever? Or-
Well,
I want to get it done as soon as we can, in case we do get a...
understood, but
in
most
May.
likely it's going to be over $10,000, and that tends to be our practice to bring, contracts, that type of thing, to the board. We can, and we could ask for ratification
I w-
if we think that will move it
Yeah.
Yeah,
forward
how
more
long does
quickly.
it take to install this stuff?
It probably only takes a day.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, we could potentially have this done before the hot days of,
May even.
I was gonna say,
May.
they're very busy right now,
okay,
so we'll have to get into their schedule and see where we'd fall.
okay.
I think we should get into their schedule.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think if it's getting their schedule now, we can do ratification.
I would think that if there's an issue where you got a window of opportunity to get this done,
That's bad.
that, bring it back to us even offline to get the sense of the board so that we can get it in the works, and then we'll get the approval done at a legislative meeting.
Okay, I could probably get a pretty good idea tomorrow.
Okay.
Where we could stand with installation.
Okay, all right, good. Good, all right, enough on that one. Let's go to the next item, oil tank cleaning discussion.
At this point, the bids were received. The lowest bid was for $13,971. That is to clean all the tanks, oil tanks on our properties, with the exception of Fort Washington, because that tank will be removed with the new boiler installation.
Oh, okay, all right,
So they will actually go into each tank, clean it out, confirm if there's any damage to the tank, and remove all the excess material and clean it, and we'll put a lid on it, and they can be used in the future if need be. But as of right now, it will be have a safe area with regards to no sitting oil,
Okay.
which we presently have had for about 10 years.
okay, so it will be left in a condition whereby can be used in the future, so it's not actually mothballed or filled with sand or anything like that. It's empty, clean, and whatever, is there a coating or something that's put on the inside?
No, it's just cleaned out.
Okay.
We should still, probably on a semi-annually basis, still stick it to be sure no water is getting into the tank.
Okay.
But outside of that, we'll be fine for future use if need
Okay.
be.
All right, good, good. Any questions on that item? So that's ready for legislative approval?
For ratification.
Yes, okay. All right, let's move ahead with that. Next is the Aramark Energy Report for February 2016.
Look at the first page. Basically compared to the previous month of January, our energy intensity is about the same, 66 before 65. And then looking at a school-to-school basis, the high school is relatively the same. There's no change from the previous month of January. Thomas Fitzwater, we have gone up. And I brought Aramark in a month ago to inspect to find out what the issues were that could be raising our energy usage. He found certain systems turned on all the time, lights, found hot water pumps running continuously. So we made those corrections, and we should see something for the month of March, a change. So hopefully we should see a reduction to go back to a better standpoint comparison
Jason.
to last November.
What caused that those systems were on?
I can't say. Maybe there's an issue of a concern of a weekend freezing, that someone turned a pump on and hand. Certain systems were left on, air handlers were left on. So the person went back in, put the units back in automatic, as well as made sure the units were not on a continuous running basis, rescheduled them basically for us. So.
Is there any way to prevent that from happening in the future? Someone unilaterally changing the settings?
It's more a regular check on a weekly basis by
Okay.
someone that would pick up on that type of issue. I mean, so many things happen in the elementary school level with head custodians. They may do certain things on a day-to-day basis and then forget them just because of the heavy snowstorm we had.
That's
Stuff
true,
like
yes.
that comes up.
You know, a lot of times in boiler room operations, there's a journal or a log book that if something is done, particularly like turn on a pump, that it's noted somewhere. You can also have checklists to just check and make sure that systems are in a certain state that they're supposed to be in. But there's controls that can take place at each of our schools, and if we're not utilizing something like that, maybe we should be.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And moving on to the various schools, it looks like at Maple Glen, we're seeing some progress there.
Yes.
That we've been hoping and anticipating for a while with all the work that's been done. So that's a positive sign. And these readings are comparing to a baseline of 2014, right?
Correct. It's compared to a baseline and when the program ended,
Right.
which was 2014. So if we're showing you, we are now even showing a reduction better than when the energy program ended, based upon our own self-performance.
Right. And we had some substantial savings while we had that program in place.
Correct.
But we're not comparing ourselves to the baseline at the beginning of that.
No.
We're comparing ourselves to 2014, and we're seeing some relatively modest improvement in most of the schools, but, particularly at Maple Glen, some substantial improvement. So all in all, we haven't taken our eye off the ball, and in fact, with the Thomas Fitzwater issue, we have a system in place whereby, okay, it's after the fact, but we are finding if we are out of compliance with what we want, that we can go back, check, and find out why, and get it back to where it belongs.
Correct, because we do have another building that has showing an increase of usage, and that's Fort Washington. So I'm going to have someone come in and take a look to see why is there a comparison change between January and February, to figure out if there's a change of usage, change of behavior that has occurred that has now caused an increase in energy usage.
Okay. All right, good. So we'll keep at that, and that's something that we're continuing to get this information from Aramark, and we'll be, I guess, we have a contract that goes on for another 6 months or more?
It'll go
on that?
through September.
September.
It'll end October 1st.
Okay.
Just with that Energy Star rating for Maple Glen, it's only 29, right? Is that the number?
Yes, that's correct. Again, those star ratings change quarterly.
Yeah.
So probably in a couple months' time, it'll probably upgrade to a higher value. Usually in schools, based upon what systems they have, their scales vary from like 30,000 BTUs if you've got a geothermal facility at an elementary school level, compared up to like 65,000. So it'll fall on that scale. So probably we would see an adjustment given the savings that we've seen.
Yeah, that measurement lags a little bit.
So that would
with our
basically-
current usage.
The results, the data we receive in March from the utilities, we don't get that until this month, April. So we'll probably see something next month with regards to March, and you'll have an update of where we sit quarterly with Maple Glen.
Where would you want to see Maple Glen eventually in terms of an energy?
We want to see at least above 60. You want to be above that 50 percentile.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the energy report? Okay, next, update on summer projects and discussion of funding.
Included in documentation is a list of projects we've identified throughout the summer. It really runs to about number 36. And then upon review with the business office, gave recommendations where those funding would come from. So some projects will indeed will be pushed to next year or years down the road based upon where we stand financially. Because right now, the projects which are going to come out of the bond fund are designated as the secured vestibule, which is already a hard number. We've got that price. We're going to have a pre-construction meeting in about a week or two. The boiler replacement at Fort Washington for $431,000. And again, we'll have a pre-construction meeting here shortly, as well as the tennis court removal for $2,094 and $500. So those projects are already set, and we're going to move forward with. The rest are estimates, which presently are designated for the general fund. One is the electrical infrastructure upgrade. That's for $428,000. Included with that, if you look down, Fort Washington's emergency generator is $130,000. Those two packaged together, those are the numbers we're going to receive basically on May 4th.
And if I may, it's a little bit awkward going back and forth between two of us. Obviously, those two type of projects, the last two that Jason's just describing, really make more sense to come out of a capital reserve. But we need to transfer money, again, I'm talking about finance now, from the one-time revenue we're experiencing this year into the capital reserve. Those certainly are 20-year projects, or projects that have a 20-year benefit. Thank you, sorry.
Okay, so, so we see the bond fund column, and those projects are already established as far as price. The general fund, most of these are still estimates, but everything in the general fund column we're looking to do this summer, is that?
That would be
Balancing?
correct. The
Okay.
ones that are highlighted, or I should say in bold, those are ones we've already awarded out. The new burglar system over at Thomas Fitzwater, given our security issues, that's in the process of being installed right now. The pH water treatment engineering for Fort Washington for $4,750, that's being engineered right now, that we just spoke about earlier, as well as the pH water treatment engineering for the high school for $8,950. And then downward, the oil tank cleaning is $13,971.
Okay. All right. Of the ones that are on the list of projects for this summer, are there any that, that need discussion?
We could run through them real quick. The boiler chimney repair at the Fort Washington, that's looking to be in conjunction possibly with the boiler plant itself. The chimney is, there is stone that is loose that has to be re-adhered to the chimney because of age, and some of the brick needs to be repointed.
Right, and,
Okay.
and
The only thing that really
especially
stands,
with
Let's talk about that.
what? The asbestos abatement. It was estimated at $16,500, and that was believed to remove all the material that remains at Jarrettstown. I have since found through measurements this past week that we have more than expected in the building, asbestos-wise. So the project there will be a little bit on a larger scale, it'll be twice the amount that's presently shown, and that'll give us almost the entire building with the exception of the principal's office, the main office, and one other room. But the classrooms will be taken care of.
okay.
Well, that's the tile and the asbestos removal?
Yeah, yes.
So
Is
do-
this showing just the cost of the asbestos and not the?
Well, that was going to be for both.
Okay.
In essence, now we're going to double that value to about $30,000.
So the summer of 2017, we will finish Jarretttown, asbestos removal.
Should definitely be able to, because right now,
Okay.
I forgot to include it, but basically, we have about 6,300 square feet of asbestos tile. We're looking to do about 3,500 this summer.
Okay, so one more year there, and what about FITS? Will that also, is that on the same time frame?
The plan will be is again, to do fits next year with those classrooms,
Okay.
as well as to do some cabinetry replacements at the same time.
Okay.
Since all the flooring will be removed, it's best to take care of the cabinetry in those classrooms. Because I guess 4 or 5 years back, there was a program in place, it was a classroom at a time, has had new cabinetry replaced. So we would hope to do about 4 to 6 classrooms next
Okay.
summer.
I mean, this tile work, which results in asbestos work, because that's when the asbestos needs to be removed, is something that Joe and I have probably seen occurring in the district for at least
Oh, forever.
forever.
Forever,
Right.
yeah.
So it's not, you know, it's not a safety issue, it's eventually dealing with the removal of the tile, which then forces you to have to do the asbestos
Abatement, right, right.
Are these, how do I identify which ones are summer, or is that another topic? Are these all?
This is
These are
summer,
all summer?
yes.
They all would be done in the summer.
Summer,
Okay.
either this year or next year.
Well, no, is summer this year or summer next year, or this summer?
This is,
Basically, where it says general fund, those will be all active projects this year. Those projects that'll be pushed, it says next year budget. And then we have another funds column, and that is for the tree bush replacements at the high school.
Yeah.
And that's based about the escrow account that's been set aside by the township.
I didn't follow that, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Which is,
That's this one here.
I saw that one, yeah. I see the tree thing, that's another question, but what are our summer projects? We usually see a list of summer.
The ones all listed under general fund and bond fund, they're all summer projects. With the
Okay.
exception of, there may be a couple that are in bold now that may take place in the spring, just
Correct.
because of timing, we can do it
So by
now.
the end of the summer, anything that says bond fund or general fund will be done.
Correct, yes.
Anything that says next year budget will be done, like, I see a paving in a parking lot at Fort. Does that mean that's going to be in the budget? Is that going to be done next,
2017.
Yeah.
which is really in the budget? Okay.
Right.
Okay, and then the issues with the trees and the bushes, I mean, if we don't get them in now, we're not going to get them in until the fall.
No, actually, it's best to put them in fall.
Right.
Is the best timing. So we will get that information out. It'll probably bid sometime in June, awarded in July. And the main thing is you want to plant in September, October.
Right,
Okay.
okay. The issues with Fort Washington, the paving, are we doing any paving at Fort?
We're not doing any paving this year at all. We're merely doing crack repair and restriping. Like the playground out back at the fort, we're going to reseal all those cracks. The parking lots, certain areas, the curbing, all that stuff that has been faded, we're going to restripe all that, repaint that, restripe a couple lines of the high school, but majority of the work will take place at all the elementary schools. And that information or detail just went out this week for bid.
The grouting at the pool, what, can you give some background on that? Because I know that's a continuous,
Yeah, given what we did last summer when we fully drained the pool and repaired tiles along the wall, and did some grout work, we discovered that there's a significant amount of grout that's been lost. So the plan would be is to regrout the whole base of the pool
Okay.
in locations that are missing grout, and then touch up certain locations along the wall that tile has been moved, shifted, just like we did some temporary repairs last summer. We're going to do complete repairs this summer.
are we draining the pool now every year?
Well, the reason why this year is because the surge tank valves don't work properly. We're not getting proper circulation of water flow in the pool. By the time we recognized the fact that it was caused by the valve issue in the surge tank, we had to refill the pool
I could have
and put
told
it
you
back.
that, it was the valve.
Did you hop in some scuba, put on some scuba gear and go down there and check it out?
Yeah. that was-
But that's
last
basically,
week.
because we're basically pulling most of the water from the bottom and not all from the gutters. That sometimes the valves work, sometimes they don't. So it's a matter of, we want to get in there, repair them or replace them. And after that, we'll have good circulation. And after the repair of the tile floor, I wouldn't see the need to do it until every 2 years. Though they do recommend that once a year you do drain the pool fully.
Do we have some heater problems at the pool?
Yes. The heater, the heat exchanger, we had an incident in which the sprinkler system went off. I forget which weekend it was. However,
Weeks ago.
yes. However, upon investigation, we found that the issue, more or less, the room was overheated, set off the sprinkler system, and the reason of overheating, the heat exchanger became damaged because of overuse.
Which room was it?
This is the room about just down the hallway from the athletic director's office. That is where the boiler resides that heats the pool. But basically, the room overheated, set off the sprinkler, and it was all due in part because the heat exchanger at that point blew a section of its tubing. Given the safety of the possibility of leaking natural gas, everyone best recommend that to shut it down until the boiler is replaced. We've awarded that contract to J.R. Walters Company this past week. The equipment should come in maybe Friday or the following Monday of next week, to which point it'll take about 2 to 3 days to install the equipment. So I'm hoping within about 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have it replaced and back up and running again.
Okay, and so because of that, it's the water that's not being heated in the pool?
That's correct. The water cannot be heated at this time. We have, though, increased the temperature of the equipment in the pool and in the locker room to give you a better feeling that it is indeed warmer, as best we can.
As long as you stay out of the water.
Yeah.
Wear sweaters.
And so the cost, that didn't have to come to us? You just, to repair that?
The repair is it was
Okay, so that
$9,750.
just goes right to you.
Yeah, we took in 3 proposals of both either fully replacing the boiler or just replacing the heat exchanger. To replace the full boiler was about $25,000. To replace just the heat exchanger was, like I said, less than 10, and they gave me a time frame. It could last 5 to 10 more years with this heat exchanger replacement. So most vendors recommended just replacing the heat exchanger itself because the rest of the equipment is in very good shape.
Will the water treatment help?
Will help to,
The water treatment is,
No, not with this problem, with the grouting of the pool and that type of thing.
it most likely would, yes.
Go ahead.
I guess the real question is, what do we do to make sure that room that did overheat doesn't overheat? Again, why did it overheat and cause the sprinklers to?
We're going to change the sprinkler head temperature from, it's at 120 to 210, and that was as per the recommendation of the fire marshal. But with regards to the equipment itself blowing out and having, it was because of age and overuse. Last year was the first time we actually performed maintenance on it. From here on out, on a yearly basis, we're going to have to set aside about $970 to perform maintenance on it, so we don't have this issue again.
It'll, like boilers, every year we
Y-
get
yes.
this back.
Right,
We
okay.
need to
Yeah.
keep
There'll be a
it
checklist that we know.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, any other comments or questions on the summer projects? Okay, we'll continue to update that as we need to and get approvals as necessary. All right, next update on large projects, Thomas Fitz electrical upgrade and Fort Washington generator.
This week, the information has been going out to contractors. Hoppensteiner has completed their work. We're going to take the IT side of things with the job as an alternate price, given its size, and it could vary range in dollars. So we're looking to get those bids back on May 4th for review. The generator project itself is included as an alternate on the base project itself.
Okay, so that, we should have the information ready for a May approval.
Yes.
So that we can get this in the works for the summer projects.
Yes.
Okay? Anything else on that? All right. Next, May 4th bid openings, electrical infrastructure, and parking lot repairs and funding discussion.
Basically, the parking lot repairs that I expressed are all just cracks. We're going to redo the handicap parking spaces over at Maple Glen to make them the appropriate sizing. We're going to add labeling at Jarretttown spaces there, label the parking spaces, as well as put new lines in the lots and repair the cracks, and do some significant amount of work at Thomas Fitzwater as well. Their back playground area, repair all the cracks in the back. Since we've done a significant amount of work over in the front, we're going to take care of the back area, as well as restripe all areas that are currently light in color. No parking signs, drop-off signs that are all presently pavement markings. We're going to address those this summer.
This is the first year in probably quite a while that we have no paving projects during the summer, so it sounds like we're getting on top of it to some extent, and it's minor items at this point, and then we'll plan for future paving in the, subsequent years.
Yeah, the worst location at this point in time would be Fort Washington, but this most significant amount of work that's needed is the crack repair work. Over the past couple of years, with all the snow, rain, freezing conditions we've had a large amount of cracks come about. So it's time to address those now with the finances we have, and then look forward to next year to get back to doing some paving.
So with restriping, may I ask, is there consistency among the buildings as far as labeling of parking spaces?
Yes, there is consistency with the principal, visitor, those type of locations. The only uniqueness we have is really at the high school, and that's because of how it's laid out and because students park. But for the most part, every location in the admin center itself, there's no designated parking per se. But for most part, they're all the same with regards to arrows. I think Jarretttown is unique with regards to its drop-off and pickup locations for vehicles. That's the only one that stands out between them and the high school.
Okay, but at the end of this, then we will have consistency
I-
among the other buildings.
Yeah, we're pretty much, the scope is to remark what has already been marked previously. Where it
Okay.
said no parking, lay it down the same
So
way.
that'll be very clear.
Yes.
All right.
And if the curb was yellow before, to be redone yellow, as well as all the handicap entrances and so forth. So there's really no changes. The only changes we'll see is at Fitzwater, with the recommendations from the police department about adding a double yellow line and arrows leaving and coming in. But those arrows are really found in almost every other school as well. Just
Right.
Fitzwater doesn't have that in place right now.
Okay, thank you.
Jason, I noticed eventually in the administration complex, the visitor, it's hard to see where visitors can park. I think those
It is.
labels are fading eventually, so I don't,
Those will be adjusted. I mean, they will be restriped.
oh, they are? This is-
Yes.
So
okay, I'm
admin
sorry.
center as
Great.
well?
Yes, the visitor,
Okay,
yeah.
thank
And
you.
then one other project, eventually, I parked in the gravel lot this week to watch a baseball game, and it's not dangerous, but it's tough getting in and out of the gravel lot because of the dips and the holes, and you're doing this kind of thing. Do we do something to maintain that lot from time to time?
Throughout the year, we do not. We do every spring fill the potholes with the help with the township, and that usually falls in conjunction with 2 or 3 weeks before graduation.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
And after the rain.
And after the rains, but we do have a problem with people parking because they like to park in the driveway as you
Anyway.
drive in, as well as on the dirt on either side,
Yes, it's,
which has created a significant amount of rutting or damage to the grasses in both sides of the driveway.
yeah, it's not a great lot, and it was something I always discussed and would wish one day we would do something with that lot. It's just my opinion.
One day.
One day.
One day.
Maybe. Try to park in there, Joe.
Okay, yeah, well, I
Don't drive in it.
I don't.
Yeah, we need it sometime.
Yeah, and it's a long story, and
I know.
we don't need to do it in this meeting. All right, any other questions or comments on the last item? And that brings us to number 8, which is the LEAD celebration, which is tomorrow, Friday, April 22nd, on Earth Day at the high school.
I was going to say, at this time, the plaque and everything is in place with a drape over it, so.
And it will be at 8:30 in the morning, and Mr. Shumalesky, we have asked to give several comments because he knows the history of everything that comes into the LEED certification, and he suffered with this as we went through the painstaking at times correspondence and everything to get every single point that we could. So it's great to finally have the signs installed on the wall and draped, and that will come off tomorrow on Earth Day.
Great,
And-
great.
Do we have a press release for, have we invited the press or anyone?
Yes. Yes. Yes, we
We're
have.
supposed
I
to.
wanted to share with Mr. Shimeleski. A few weeks ago, we had the senior forum at the high school. Some board members were there, I was there. And one of the students took the microphone and spoke very passionately about the LEED certification. And the Environmental Club is looking forward very much to the ceremony tomorrow and the celebration of that.
I'm looking forward to meeting with them and celebrating along with them about this LEED achievement that has taken place at the high school. I'll have some comments tomorrow about it, but basically it's not just an achievement of what's been done over the past 10 years with the help and support of the community, but it's also something that celebrates the achievement of our students going forward, because Earth Day and LEED certification are hopeful signs that people are working on things that need to be taken care of in the future.
And I want everyone to know that our students are embracing that and
Great.
are very passionate about it.
Excellent,
And
excellent.
just one other thing that certainly the public doesn't know, and I'm not even sure that all the board members know. A person from Gilbert Architects contacted me after it was put on our calendar, wanting to know what we were going to do and to celebrate. And I wrote back and inquired if they had attended other such LEED celebrations or dedications. And surprisingly, the answer was no. Usually, LEED certification comes 3 to 5 years after the building is opened, and, the district's moved on, the people have changed, so, Mr. Gilbert and some of his associates are quite interested and pleased to know that we are having this small celebration tomorrow.
Good, good.
So they will not be at the time.
I did invite them, but I think due to the hour of the day, and it's quite a commute, they will not be there unless they totally surprise me. But as of this time, I understand they will not be present.
No matter what, they'll be there in spirit, and we appreciate all the hard work that they've done over these last few years to get those last few points so that we could be LEED Gold certified. The board specified LEED Silver at the very beginning, but with the way the project was designed and implemented, we came very close to being able to be gold certified. And with a lot more legwork from Gilbert, we were able to eke out those last couple of points. And so we're really pleased that we can call our high school a LEED certified building. Gold. Okay, any other comments or questions from the table? That brings us to community input. If anyone would like to address the committee, now's the time to do so. State your name, section of the township in which you live, and you have 4 minutes.
Jennifer Kuznets, Fort Washington. For the window film situation, just a couple things to keep in mind. There's like 2 kind of courtyards, I guess, for lack of better terms. The hallway, the glass hallway to the right that is closest to the first grade, second grade wing, the sun shines in from the windows on the left-hand side. So you don't even really need to film the windows on the right because the sun just shines this way. It doesn't come around the other side, right? So first and second grade that butt up the playground, those get really hot. But as does the third grade wing on the right side where the other courtyard kind of is where the outdoor map is.
Yeah, we got
that is also a really hot classroom. So I just wanted to make sure that we were,
It's
like
the
Mrs.
whole-
Bowling's,
Yeah, the whole-
right, that whole wall.
that whole,
Right.
all 3 locations, the library, that wing, and the other wing.
Well, so the other thing is the library has air conditioning. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know that the library gets hot. I feel like that's one of our cool places because I believe it has air conditioning because the books and you have to preserve that stuff. So that might be a savings if we don't need to do that. The other thing is I'm just throwing it out there, The other thing is the second hallway where Sarah, you would know, where the Stage Cafe used to happen outside that courtyard. The PTA has been working to kind of fix it up to try to use it as an outdoor space. So we're actually buying sailcloths that we're going to put up that will shade that area. So the sun never necessarily even shines into that second corridor window thing because it comes from the left-hand side. So it's almost like shaded a little bit by the other. It's just weird. Like I've been following the sun because I need to know where we're putting the sailcloths. So there's that. And then in the gym, a suggestion I would have, because it gets really hot, is while our windows can open, we have these shades that nobody can pull up or down, so they're always just down. So even though you're opening the windows, the air can't get through, because they're just like these blinds they're not even blinds, they're like shades, they're the plastic shades.
And they're blocking the
And they're
air.
blocking the air to be able to go out. So either maybe film those windows and remove the shades would probably be better spent there than maybe in the library where they have air conditioning. Okay, so that's that. A question about the parking lot and the striping and all that stuff. Like I know, for instance, Fort Washington, when you pull in, there's signs in the front that are supposed to be directional. Pick up here, buses there. Those signs are really faded and hard to see, and I'm hoping maybe that's why some of our parents don't quite know where to go in the right spot when they're dropping off and picking up.
We're going to have a billboard there.
I'm just saying, I don't know like who replaces
You're very
those, but we should
optimistic.
maybe look at those. Maybe we could look at those when we're kind of making safety parking lot, things. And then I want to know these new parts for the pool, this poor pool situation we have going on. Are we getting warranties on all the parts that we're replacing with? And like, how long are these warranties? Because I feel like we're getting kind of screwed, for lack of a better term, on our warranties. And then I just found out that the district, and I'm not sure, but that the district is not renewing the Montgomery County IU contract, and it's freeing up 2 classrooms at Fort Washington. So I'm wondering what the plans are for those classrooms, and if this is like throughout all the elementary schools, we're freeing up classrooms in all the elementary schools. I'm just kind of curious what that is, what the planned use is for those 2 new buildings. Are we expecting like really big kindergarten? I'm just curious. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's just one, yeah.
Just one.
We'll get to you, we'll get to it. I forget I'm mic'd here.
Anyone else? Ditto, okay, all right, thank you.
We'll have the minutes show that.
That will close community input, and let's see, I think we covered a lot of the good points you made about the film, and, you know, you take that into account when we're expanding and adjusting the scope of that project. The directional signs faded at Fort Washington, will that be addressed?
We have to purchase new signs for Fitzwater, so we can definitely do something with regards to replacing the signs of this building, as well as investigate other schools as well, to get them all taken care of at one time.
Jason and I haven't had the opportunity to talk about signage yet, but Jarretttown will also be on the list, as will the high school. The state auditors, which is a finance conversation, were in, and they looked, state auditors look at a number of things, really not so much financial, more procedures and compliance. And one of the things that they suggested was a little bit additional signage at the 2 buildings I noted. So signage is on the to-do list. It just didn't quite make the big list.
That's the auditors, the state auditors talk about signage. I love it.
Well, within the parameters of, say, schools.
Yeah.
So there is a
Right.
portion of the review that's related to school safety, and so that's the area. But again, state auditors are compliance and procedures in different programs, not just the financial aspects.
Okay, the warranties for equipment that we replace on
Oh,
various places.
we definitely go through the warranties. With regards to, just an example, the heat pumps in the high school, majority of those equipment replacements have all been under warranty. Even if we replace it 2 or 3 times, it's still under warranty. And the boiler is the same way. We will definitely, it's a minimum of 2-year warranty. We'll definitely follow through it, but it should last a minimum of 5 to 10 years is what I've been told with regards to new heat exchanger.
Okay.
But as far as past warranties, that building, the pool's been in place for, 6 years? And we use that pool almost 365 days a year. Again, we've talked about some, well, this year, 366, but there will be 2 weeks that it's closed down, so, you know. We were talking about checklists earlier and preventative maintenance that happens when you're in better physical condition. So moving forward, I think some of those things, water treatment may also help with the pool. I mean, my gosh, that's got 660,000 gallons of water in it. And all of that flows through what we were just talking about, you know, the boiler to keep it warm. So things are improving. I hear the frustration, believe me, when I have to approve these POs for things, and then I think, wait a minute, we've been using it for 6 years, heavy use, and some of the other things. So we're aware, it's taxpayers' money. We are very responsible, or very much aware of our fiduciary responsibility.
Thank you. Is there any comment about the MCIU
Yes.
classrooms?
We have advised the MCIU that we will reduce offering space to them by 1 classroom. That will be at Fort. Everything else will stay the same. And Stephanie, Mrs. Holquist, continues to work on how she will utilize that space. So we don't have a definitive answer yet, but it will be one classroom. The other MCIU spaces will remain the same.
And that's true throughout the rest of the
Throughout the
schools?
district, that's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, all right. And I believe that, I haven't seen a listing for a long time, but I think we do more than our fair share of providing for classroom space for the IU. So while, you know, I'm the IU rep and all that, and I understand that they need space, but I think Upper Dublin does pretty well by them as far as that's concerned.
We do, and we're very proud of the fact that we are able to reach out and work collaboratively with them. But in this case, we determined that we did need to reclaim that space. So we were able to move in that direction.
Excellent. Okay. All right, any,
The gym. Did you address
The gym?
shades?
Oh, the
in-
shades.
In Fort Washington gym, they don't go up or down?
Oh, I'll have to take a look to see what's exactly how they operate and investigate further about adding a film to them. We do, even though we want to add a, maybe do something with a film or some sort, we still want to make sure that light comes in because it helps lights the gymnasium itself, but I'll definitely investigate it today.
And if I remember correctly, a few years ago, we did do some major work on those windows in the gym at Fort Washington, didn't we? I'd have to look
Yeah,
back.
I think
So
so. I
that they could
think-
open and close?
part of the issue, I think, is that the window, the design of the windows don't match up with the design of the shades.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The shades
Yeah,
are
it's
wide.
just that both things weren't done at the same
Same time.
time, and so it really doesn't make sense the way the two work together. And so something has to happen there in order to make it right. So, anyway, so yeah, if you can take a look at that, and if there's a way to fix the problem, and if it's a matter of increasing the scope of the film to make it happen, but I'm sure we can figure it
Take the
out.
shades down. Slow and steady steps forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, any other comments or questions? All right then, thank you very much, we are adjourned.
Thank you.